Okay, so right now and in this very session, we're going to talk about how do you build a brand, and not just actually a brand, but how you can incorporate building a brand together with inbound marketing. And later on, we will deep dive on what's the ultimate meaning and what's the realistic meaning of each and every one of this. All right. So just to give you also a brief background of who I am, as mentioned a while ago, that I'm the founder and CEO of Surge Digital Media and Consulting Corporation, which we are based here in the Philippines. And I already have an 8 years running 8 year experience in marketing and sales. So this started way back in college when digital marketing was even a big deal here in the Philippines. We used to do most of the traditional marketing like PR, TV exposures, and tarpaulins, but there's a huge shift of the way people and businesses communicate their marketing messages and brands during the pandemic, and that has been emulated and amplified even before with everything that's happening all around us, and maybe in the next coming years, because everyone has already shifted and a lot of people have realized what the true essence of digital media is. Okay, so later on we will discuss. And also, I'm a speaker and consultant for small and medium enterprises. So our agency primarily caters small and medium enterprises here in the Philippines and also across boards. And we basically do a lot of technical supports like paid advertisements, content marketing, search engine optimizations, digital strategies, and so on and so forth. And I'm also an entrepreneurship advocate, because I'm always fascinated, and I'm always highly interested on how people would like to traverse from, let's say, being a corporate employee to starting and taking a brave step into journeying into the entrepreneurship world, which is it's more complex than what we see on social media. But having the full understanding and having the right guidance and attending this webinars like this will give you a straight path and a good vision of which path you should take and which one to avoid. All right. So my my topic for this webinar is going to be about branding and inbound marketing, but let's start first with what technically a brand is. And I'd like to show you one of the most relatable brand that everyone here in this room is very familiar with. And the reason why I chose this brand or this logo is because it's easily relatable. Now my question now here is, why is it that even though Apple continuously produce and launch new product, people will always still buy regardless of its design and redundancy? And my again, so why is it that last year Apple launched their iPhone 12, and this year, not even a bit short than 12 months, they also released the new iPhone 13, their series, iPhone 13, iPhone 13 Pro, iPhone 13 Pro Max. But why is it that regardless of, even people know that it's already surreal and redundant to launch this kinds of launch this kind of brand or device, that technically all phones do the same function? Okay, so why is it that? Now, before we answer that, I'd like us to take a step back and bring you to the era of the witchcraft. Okay, now this is something very new for most of you, because branding has already been existing as early as 1692. Okay, but it's not technically coined with the term brand. Why? During the era of 1962, there's this person named Guy Lee who was accused and punished and put into death because of the quote unquote word fascination. Okay. Now, what does this story mean? A lot of people in the village of where Guy Lee was living, they were complaining that they were being um, fascinated or being hold captivated, which means they don't have the power to resist what Guy Lee is trying to communicate to them. They don't have, they feel powerless. Okay, that is why he was coined as a witchcraft, and he was put into death because of this hallucination, and with this idea that each and everyone in the village was convinced. Now, why is it related to branding? It is because branding and fascination are two similar things that is not just happening way back 1692, but it's also happening right at this very moment. You can think of all the products that you can think of in a specific industry. Let's say for phone, you can think of Apple, Samsung. Let's say for e-commerce, you can think of Shopee, Lazada, Amazon. If you can think of apparels or shoe brands, you can think of Nike, Adidas. If you can think of luxury brands, you can think of Gucci, Louis Vuitton. Now, why is it that we always have this top of mind brands that we are subconsciously being convinced that they are the best in what they do? It is because of the fascination that has been instilled to our minds. Okay. Now, this may sound a bit more complicated, but I kid you not, this is what's happening right now. And with the rise and the amplification of digital marketing today and since the beginning of the pandemic, you know what's what's a great opportunity here in the Philippines is that um we are a growing country, we are a growing economy, that there's a lot of room for us to infiltrate or take advantage of the digital communication that's happening. Okay, but the downside there is what's happening here in the Philippines right now has already happened to different countries 3 or 5 years behind. Okay, so the great idea here is that once you've create a brand gradually to your specific audience, you are not just creating a brand for the product, but you're creating a brand that is easily relatable and easily be remembered by your ideal customers. Because fascination, as what you can see on the screen, is bewitching or hold captivated so other people feel powerless. Going back to the brand of Apple. Apple launched the iPhone 13, I think this month or last month. So what's the impact of that? It's not the tangible iPhone. It's not the camera lenses. It's not the cinematic effect of the camera. But if you see someone within your peers that the iPhone was just released a month ago, and you see them that they already possess the iPhone that was recently released, there is a subconscious thought of feeling elite and feeling updated, and you are part of this certain class. Now, again, it's not about the device. The device has the same function as any of the smartphones out in the market. But it is the brand, it is the feeling, and it is the possession of that specific brand that makes them great. That is the reason why they are the very first company who reached the $1 trillion valuation ever. Okay, so let's put a distinction here. There's a huge difference and a confusion of using the term branding and brand. Okay, I want you to take a close look at it, because you might want to change the way you communicate and the choices of words that you speak when you are doing your business communications or your meeting with your business partners, because branding is something that you can create. Okay, now what I mean by this is you can create the logo, you can create a website, you can choose your color palettes, you can ride with the trends, and you can create your visual graphics. Now, this can be a design, a video, or whatever that falls under visual graphic. Basically, branding is what you can create. On the flip side, brand is not something that you can create, because brand can only be created by the people you are delivering value to. You cannot create a brand because people or your customers identify if you are a valuable brand, or if you have a good reputation based on their own experience with your product or service. So basically, brand is a reputation for your company. A reputation is something that you cannot create. It is built throughout time. And with the consistency of excellence in service, with the consistency of how of the promise that you deliver on your advertisement versus the actual experience, that is based on how people decide who you are. That's how brand is created. And it is your company promise. Again, if you see an advertisement on Facebook or on Google that they are the best in what they do, and once you decided to purchase that product or service, and then it's completely it's completely different from what they have promised, there is no brand promise there. And you, as a consumer or as an audience of that company, you have the power to decide if this brand is valuable or not. You have the power to speak bad words about them, and you have the power to influence that you had a great decision and your peers should also try that. Next is customer experience. This is one of the most undervalued marketing concepts. Why? It's because customer experience is very critical. A lot of businesses that we've encountered in the past, they always focus on acquiring customers, meaning how can they get as much customers as they can? Thinking of number one is profit, and then number two is how can they sustain their business for long. But the key for a sustainable business and a sustainable brand is through crafting the journey of what a great customer experience looks like. Now, how do you craft a great customer experience? It is number one, talking to your current customers. Why did they decide to go to your brand or your product or your service rather than going to your competition? And if they wish, you can provide something. Either it's a product feature or benefit or your website experience. That is how you can modify and improve your customer experience. Because acquiring customers is one of the most expensive thing that you can do in your business. But retaining customer because of the great customer experience that you have mapped out for them, and retaining them and making them speak good about your product, referring your brand to their peers and to their friends, that is the most amazing thing that you can do. And that comes down, or that boils down to customer experience. And again, it's what people think of you when they see your brand, when they see when they hear your name. What's that common thought that they would think about you or about your business? It doesn't matter if it's a company brand or it's a personal brand. But when you hear, but let's say in a local setting, when you hear Bo Sanchez, okay, there's this brand that this person is a religious person and a financial advocate. When you hear Chinky Tan, there's already this perception that this person is a financial advocate. When you hear Bill Gates, there's a subconscious thought that this person is great in what he do in software. When you hear Elon Musk, there's a revolutionary brand that comes into our mind because he's innovating and he's the real life Iron Man. So that is what people think of you, and that is not something that you can create. You can only communicate the brand, but it's up to the people on how they will understand you based on their experience. And next is the feeling of community. There's this word called silos, and which basically means that two concepts operate in a different world. Okay, there's no sense of belongingness, or there's no sense of community. And the way for you to build a community or a sense of feeling that they belong to a certain community is about listening to what they can say about you. Okay, now marketing and branding is a very big term. Okay, branding is is one of the facets of the whole umbrella of marketing. Okay, but marketing, with everyone's general knowledge, it's not just about social media. It's not just about It's not just about your website, it's not just about the advertisement, but marketing is always about people and making them feel that they belong to something and not just what you can provide in a tangible or an intangible manner, meaning the product or service that you can provide. Those people will go to you. You can think of something that is you let's cite Shopee as an example. Shopee is not just a basic e-commerce brand, but they are putting a sense of belongingness to people with all of their marketing promotions, the 11/11, the live events that they do, the brand partnerships that they do with their influencers. So there's a sense of community. What that is why Shopee is the leading e-commerce company here in the Philippines, and I think in the whole Asia Pacific. So that is not based on their platform. That is not based on their colors. That is not based on their logo, but it's the customer experience that they are providing to their ideal customers. Next is, you cannot stand out if you're trying to blend in. What do we mean by this? If you want to create your own brand, okay? If you want to create your own brand, there's no problem if you're looking for samples or companies that you can model your idea with. Again, there's no problem if you're going to look for companies that you can model your business idea with. Remember the term model, because there is a difference between modeling and copying. All right. Copying is just doing the exact same thing your competitor is doing. Modeling is looking at what they are doing well and what they're doing wrong and trying to modify it or make some tweaking about it and branding it as your own, and making that message, that brand message, speaks about how unique you are. So again, you cannot stand out if you're just copying the content creators out there or you're just copying the leading brands out there. You need to look for something that would make you stand out in the real business world, because digital right now is getting noisier and noisier and noisier every day. Okay, so there are a lot of advertisements. You can go to YouTube. When you click on a video, there are about 4 to 5 ads in between that video. A lot of companies are doing interruptive advertisements. Okay, so you as an aspiring entrepreneur or an entrepreneur, how can you stand out that people will voluntarily go to you because you are different from what your competitors are essentially doing? Okay, so how do you stand out and how do you make this image that you are valuable and you know what you're talking about and you are unique? There's this framework that has been popularized by Simon Sinek, and I hope most of you are familiar with this, and if not, I'm glad to introduce to you this framework, and it's called the Golden Circle. Okay, Golden Circle is a framework that has been used by a lot of companies nowadays. It's being used way back, but it has been manifested by Simon Sinek. And a lot of companies operate from the outside of the circle going inside the circle, which means what is basically what you do as a company. You sell phones, you sell clothing brands, you sell bags. That is the most no-brainer concept or idea, because people know what you are doing. And how do you do what you do best, or what you claim that you do best? And why is something that most brand owners and entrepreneurs skip. It is because why is the ultimate factor on selling something to people. Why are you doing this? It's not just about the phone. Let me give you an example. If there is a marketing message and it says that our bag is 100% leather with the most affordable price with a luxury design, That is a what. Now, you as a consumer reading that, how's the emotional impact to you? And I believe most of you would say, no, there's no impact at all, because they're just telling us what they are selling. But if we can reverse engineer the branding message and say, we make traveling fun, light, and fashionable. Our bags are designed with premium quality that makes you look luxurious without breaking the bank. So look at the difference there. You have amplified and you have manifested to your ideal customers why you are doing what you are doing. Why are you creating this brand? You're creating this brand because you want your consumers to travel fun, light, and fashionable without breaking the bank. So there's a huge difference there. Now, what do I mean by this? Branding is driven by not just how people perceive of you, but it's also the belief that they understand why you are doing what you are doing. It's not just about giving them the most innovative product. Okay, look at Tesla. Tesla won't be one of the most valuable company right now if their marketing message is only we sell electronic vehicles. But the reason why Tesla is existing right now, it's because they believe that they can eliminate the fossil fuel that can benefit the whole ecosystem in the future. Hence, purchasing a Tesla vehicle will help us move to that vision that we are eyeing for us to save the ecosystem, or for us to save the world. So having that kind of message and making people understand the message that you bring, not just what you do, you are creating an extraordinary product or an extraordinary business as a whole. Okay. Let's cite an example. Sorry. Let's cite an example. Let's say IKEA. IKEA is one of the most popular home improvement or home supply companies company in the world. And recently they just opened their flagship store here in the Philippines. Okay. But what's the idea of IKEA? How are they different from Home Depot, Mandawi Homes, or all these home appliances companies? It is because IKEA believe that design shouldn't be reserved for the elites. That is why there's this famous soccer player. I forgot his name, but he's very famous. He's rich. He's filthy rich. Okay. And he was in one of the interviews in a late night show. And he was asked, why you are, you are rich. He was asked this question. You are rich, but why do you shop in IKEA? And he answered, rich people don't shop in IKEA, but smart people shop in IKEA. It is because he believed that you can get most of those luxurious looking home appliances or home decors at a cheaper cost. That's one of the advocacy of IKEA. It is to sell these home improvements or home decors without breaking the bank or making it accessible and affordable to the masses. So again, if IKEA's brand is just to sell furnitures, that won't make an extraordinary impact. But the way that they coined their idea is that they want design to be accessible to everyone, not just to the elite. Okay. So with all of this digital platforms rising, and with all of this different contents that are emulating on the digital screens, how do you separate yourself from the competition? How do you make people come to you instead of you coming to them? Okay, there's a huge difference there, because coming to people, okay, not I'm not talking about cold calling, but coming to people um is a bit more expensive. Okay, well, I'm not let's put e-commerce on the side, but let's talk about, let's say, if you're a business to business company. If you're a business to business company, uh how do you invite people to go to your website or to go to your social page rather than you going to them? And there's this idea and a strategy called inbound marketing. Okay, later I'll decide how you can craft that. Okay, but you need to know who your ideal customers are. Now, based on my experience, 95% of the time, of the people that I speak to, and they are entrepreneurs, they are starting entrepreneurs. When they ask them, do you really know who your ideal customers are, who your target market is? 95% of the time, they say, yes, we know who they are. Obviously, that's a no-brainer question. Why would we start a company without knowing who our ideal customers will be? But asking the supporting questions based on their claim, they come short to the idea of knowing who their ideal customer is. Because knowing your ideal customer is, or in this screen, knowing your buyer persona is knowing who they are intimately and confidently. You don't stop from knowing their demographics, male, female, age range, employment status, income for the next 12 months. You don't stop there, because you knowing who they are and what brands do they follow, where do they congregate, and where do they get their information is one of the idea on how you can dive more deep into the minds of your ideal customers. Because one thing for sure is that you don't want to wake up every single morning exhausted and having the idea that you don't want to work with these people, because you're attracting the wrong audience. You want to wake up feeling motivated each and every morning because you are excited to work with these people, because you know that they are the exact customers that you want to work with. And by knowing that, you need to know who your buyer persona is, or who your ideal customer is. You don't stop with the basic demographics. You have to know what brands do they follow, what form of contents do they consume. Are they consuming videos on YouTube? Are they consuming podcasts? Are they more likely to hang out on LinkedIn on the daytime rather than hanging out on Facebook for the rest of the day? What kind of cars do they drive? What values do they pursue? What motivates them to make a buying decision? Is it based on the value? Is it based on the price? Is it based on long term? Knowing this kinds of information religiously will make you more closer to working with your ideal customers, rather than just shooting ideas out of thin air and hoping that someone will bite on that, and essentially not really the exact customers that you want to work with. Okay, so crafting your ideal customers is one of the key before crafting a brand, crafting a marketing strategy, crafting an inbound strategy, or basically just crafting any kind of marketing strategy. You should know the deeper sense and the deeper brains of your ideal customers. I cannot emphasize more on that, because that is the most fundamental principle of marketing. Okay. Next is, I'd like to compare the traditional funnel or the marketing funnel versus what you can see on the right side of the screen, which is the flywheel. Okay. Traditional funnel, or the traditional marketing funnel, is when you attract, or when someone is aware of you and someone is considering you, and the next is purchase. Imagine using this framework. Once you have attracted and someone makes the purchasing decision, the cycle ends up there. Okay. But again, as what I've mentioned a while ago, it's more expensive if you're acquiring customers uh each and every campaign. The smartest decision that you can do is how you can retain your customers that have that was already funneled inside your campaign. So from people knowing who you are, meaning it could be your paid advertisement. Next is consideration. They have seen your platform, they have seen your product, and they have somehow considered but really didn't make the ultimate decision of purchasing a product or service from you. And next is ultimately purchasing a product or service from you already. What's the next step? Because following the traditional marketing funnel puts a trap on that. Hence, we introduce this growth flywheel, which essentially means that after you've attracted your ideal customers and they have engaged with you and you have delighted them because of the purchase that they have made to you, what's the next step that you can do to attract them again? So basically, it is a form of cycle that you continuously attract, engage, and delight those people who are already inside your marketing funnel. I'm not saying that marketing funnel, the funnel is completely obsolete, but you need to identify how you can integrate the growth flywheel inside your marketing funnel. Because purchase should a purchase of someone should not stop right there. Okay, it once someone purchases your product or service, you need to identify how you can continuously keep them inside your business. And the way for you to continuously make them inside your business is by continuously attracting them with the great service and the great products that you can provide to them. It does not stop there. Having their money after the campaign does not stop there, because in the long run, it will hurt your business, because acquiring customers, again, is one of the most expensive things that you can do for your company. But retaining your customers inside your business is one of the most effective and cheapest way you can do for your company sustainability. Next, I've mentioned the concept of inbound marketing. Now there are a lot of concepts. There's paid media, there's paid marketing, there's outbound marketing. But why am I bringing this inbound marketing concept into your knowledge? Inbound marketing concept is one of a business strategy and one of the most cheapest strategy that a company can do, because inbound marketing is about building trust and creating human to human interaction with your ideal customers. Okay, basically you are building your brand, you're building your thought leadership, and you are putting your message out there that you know what you are talking about. And when people have questions about their pain points or about what they want to know, inbound marketing is an avenue for you to put your message out there and making them go to you if they have any form of question, because they believe that you know the answer to their pain points. Inbound marketing, let me give an example. One form of inbound marketing is blogging or search engine optimization. Essentially, it means that when someone has a question, they don't go to Facebook, they don't go to TikTok, they go to Google. And when you go to Google, and when they go to Google, I mean, and type in their question, who will be the first one, or who will be the first company or website that will appear on the first page of that search engine and be able to answer their question? So SEO, or search engine optimization, is one form of inbound marketing, because when they see you on the first page of the search engine results page, and they click on your website or your link or your article, and you were able to answer their question, you are building an authority, you are building a brand. Because next time that they have any questions, they won't go to the search engine. If they know what you are talking about and what your advocacy is, they will go directly to your marketing channel, whether it's on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn. So essentially what I mean by this is you need to build trust to your ideal customers. A lot of startup entrepreneurs have this misguided idea that building a company or building a business is all about money. Because if you think money and profit all along the way, you won't survive in the long run. Because building a brand and building an impactful brand in a company takes time. The Eiffel Tower was not built in 12 months. It's built for a very long time. And that is why it is one of the most iconic establishment out there. That is the same with your brand. If you want to build a sustainable brand, and if you are really serious about building an impactful brand, it takes time. It's not something that you can do for the next 6, 12, 24 months. All of the brands, Apple, Shopee, or let's look at the local setting. Apple, or I mean Shopee or Lazada, it took time for them to be well known in the industry. Let's say for Apple, let's say for Tesla, let's say for Adidas, it took them decades to be a very, very remarkable brand. Now, when someone says to me that we're not really seeing a significant result, and I ask them in return, how long have you been in the market? We've been in the market for 12 months and we're not seeing any significant result. That is because you're still in the process, you're still in the journey. And for you to just judge the whole journey of branding is completely absurd, because you really need to go through a lot of journey into creating a brand. And again, branding and inbound marketing is also a form of building a brand, because you are building your thought leadership in the market. Okay, so you need to continuously attract even after the transaction. The concept of the growth flywheel compared to the marketing funnel is that after the purchase, you are not stopping there. You are figuring out a creative way on how you can bring people to the attraction stage and to make them stick to your business. Again, it does not stop with the first transaction. Okay. And with this, and with this, you need to know what the customer journey or the buyer journey looks like. And I always say this, there is no such thing as one content fits all. If you're sitting here right now and you think that posting content on social media consistently, even on a day-to-day basis, and hoping that people will buy from that content, you are mistaken, because there is no such thing as one content fits all. Why? Because each and every person has their own customer journey. You can take it to your own personal experience. Okay, you can take it to your own personal experience. You were made aware of a certain product or service, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you will purchase that product or service right away, because you need to go to this subconscious journey if they are the right choice in exchange of the hard-earned money that you've got. So which means if you're launching a product, you need to identify what form of content you need to put out there in the awareness stage. Next is, if someone is already aware of you, how do you put out a content that convinces the stage in the consideration stage? And next is, finally, when they get the decision to purchase, what kind of content are they going to see? Let me give an example. If you're a fitness application, there are thousands of fitness applications out in the market. So how do you convince someone to somehow make an experience out of the fitness application? You don't go right away and say, we are the best fitness application, you should subscribe to our premium subscriptions. No, that is completely absurd. Why? It's because you need to make people know first what you are doing. It's not enough that you shout at the top of the mountain that you're great in what you do. Perhaps the awareness content that you can do here is create a video of the workout program that you do, maybe a HIIT or a high intensity training program, or let's say a program on how you can lose belly fat in the next 2 weeks or 4 months. I mean 4 weeks. Okay. Or next is, after that, maybe consideration, make them subscribe to a free trial, a free 7-day or 14-day trial. Okay. Just to make them have the initial value and initial feel of what you do. Okay. On the e-commerce perspective, let's say, for example, Shane, if some of you are familiar with the brand Shane, okay, if you are a person who prefers Amazon or Shopee as your e-commerce platform and you come across Shane, you will not purchase bulk orders on that platform. But the way for them to make you have an initial experience of what they do is sign in, get a discount coupon for 20% on your first purchase. Now, with that experience, you have an initial feeling of what the end-to-end fulfillment looks like. But your first transaction is not really a cash cow for them. But you, as a person, as a human who have an initial thought, an initial feeling of what they do as an e-commerce company, you have this subconscious thought that maybe they're good at what on what they say they're good at, rather than just shouting that you are good at what you do. Okay, it's about making people remember. Marketing is a human to human interaction. Branding is a human to human interaction. No matter how fancy your design is, the question there is this connecting with your people? No matter how fancy your no matter how great your blog article is, the question is, can people understand what you are saying? No matter how great your color is, the question is, can people relate and can remember who you are as a brand, or who you are and based on the design that you're putting out there. Okay, so with this concept, I'd like to wrap this up. Again, branding is something that you cannot create. I mean, branding is something that you can create, but brand on the flip side is something that you can create. You can't create, because people decide how they can perceive you as a company or as a brand. Now, for you to build a thought leadership, create an inbound marketing. Create something that people will have an appetite going to you. Don't create something that's very disruptive, because people get irritated to something very disruptive. Provide value. Again, provide value to people. Don't think of money first. I know the reason why you're creating business is about creating money, but if that's already the mindset that you are doing at the very first stage of your business, you won't go far. You need to put something that provides value to people first, before thinking of profit, because sustainability is about people. Sustainability is about how people decide who you are and how much of a customer experience they are getting. Is it positive or is it negative? So with that, I conclude my talk with you guys, and I hope you learned something very valuable. And if you have any questions, I'm very much happy to answer those. Thank you.